If you own a home in the United States, you have to have insurance, no matter what. But now, here's the biggest headache for people. A lot of people suffer things that their insurance should cover, and they decide not to even call the insurance company. Why? Because they're pretty certain the insurance company is going to not help them. Now, I have a bit of a Senate hearing here. Now, this Senate hearing was like 2 hours long. And for once, it was pretty much a bipartisan effort to not go against each other on politics, but to go against the insurance companies. Josh Hawley is who I'm going to be highlighting in this. Yes, he is a Republican. I am a minarchist conservative. Yes, I kind of like Josh Hawley. So, now that that's out the way, Josh Hawley actually talks to some claims adjusters. It's on a specific case. Now, mind you, they picked one case from Allstate, one from another insurance company in the hearing. But the reason that I'm mostly doing this is because listen to the claims adjusters. Listen to what is going on. Now, you're going to have that. Now, after that, I'm going to come back to you and we're going to discuss the next part, which is his conversation with the CEO. Yes, I like how he went after the CEO. Also, if you like content where I go after stupidity like this, hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But also, I have a Facebook, I have a MeWe. It's in the link tree down below. So, let's get to it.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vitale. Thanks to all of the witnesses. We'll now have some rounds of questioning. I will start, and let me start with you, Ms. Miguel. So it's September 27th, 2024, Hurricane Helene hits Georgia, hits your home, causing very significant damage. I think we've got a picture of some of the damage here. Let's have a look. Does this look pretty familiar to you?
It does.
It looks pretty severe. I mean, that's a massive tree right there in the front part of your home, and you're an Allstate policyholder. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Allstate sends out an adjuster. You said pretty quickly, just a moment ago. Is that
about
correct?
3 weeks after.
Oh well, that's not very quick. Okay, 3 weeks after. All right, and that you were told at the time in this first inspection verbally that the adjuster agreed with you. This was very severe damage. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
I think we maybe have a second picture. Let's look at another view of this just to give a real impression. Here's a breezeway that looks to be nearly completely destroyed. You can see some of that roof damage, quite extensive, that you were talking about in your testimony. All of this looks familiar to you, I'm sure.
Yes.
Now, after this first adjuster agrees with you that, yes, there's very significant damage, what did Allstate, when they finally came back with an actual assessment, a real number, what was that number again?
$46,000.
$46,000. So you went to considerable expense on your own. You hired your own independent adjuster to come back out and do all of this over again. And that person, looking at all of this evidence, that person found that the damage was in the neighborhood of what?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how your independent adjuster, how much did that person estimate the damage was?
$497,000.
$497,000. Allstate offered you 40, basically.
Correct.
And you're still waiting for this process to be resolved all this time later. Is that right?
That's right.
Let me just ask you now, Mr. Schroeder, because you were that first adjuster who worked for Allstate who came out to look at this home. You were a field adjuster deployed for Allstate through pilot catastrophe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you were the first one to inspect Ms. Miguel's home after the hurricane. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you went in person, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you spent several hours, Ms. Miguel said in her testimony a moment ago, you spent several hours doing a very thorough inspection. Is that your memory also?
Yeah, that's correct.
And how serious would you say the damage was in your own, just your personal recollection?
Extremely, probably the most serious that I saw on this deployment.
Wow, the most serious that you saw on the deployment, which makes sense given these photos. So you start, if I understand correctly, you start to prepare an estimate for a full replacement of this breezeway right here. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's correct.
But then you were instructed, you were told by the higher ups, no, we're not going to do a full replacement of the breezeway. So only do an assessment for a partial replacement of the breezeway. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
so then you start working on that, and you're working to get as big of a damage claim as you can from Ms. Miguel in line with the facts after you've already been told, no, we're not going to do the full thing. And then before you can even complete your work, you're taken off the case. Is that right?
Yes.
Why do you think that happened?
I was told it was due to time I was taking too long, but I don't believe that is the case. I think that Allstate saw from this and my recently prior estimates of being very thorough and complete and going back and forth with reviewers on coverage that it was going to be a higher estimate and it would be more cost effective to reassign it to an adjuster that would listen better.
Yeah, an adjuster who would lowball the policyholder. Really, I mean that's what we're talking about. You're removed from the case. They took 3 weeks to send you out to begin with, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're removed once it looks like you're actually going to do some justice for Ms. Miguel. Let me just ask you more broadly, Mr. Schroeder, have you ever been told to change estimates to reduce payouts?
Yeah, frequently.
And when you've pushed back on this, if you've ever said no, what happens then?
If I say no, then the claims typically get reassigned due to, they say, either lack of compliance or other reasons, like I'm taking too long.
In your experience, was this kind of thing a one-off thing, or was this a pattern?
This was definitely a pattern.
Is it fair to say then that Allstate's priority in your experience was not getting the best possible award for their clients, it was in protecting their bottom line?
Certainly in protecting their bottom line, yeah.
Mr. Milliken, let me just come to you because you were then yet another adjuster in this same case sent out to look at Ms. Miguel's property. You worked as a field adjuster for Allstate through pilot catastrophe for about 8 years. Do I have that right?
At least 8 years, yes.
Yeah. In that time, you have personally inspected hundreds of properties damaged after storms and disasters. Is that fair to say?
Thousands.
Thousands. And you're trained to determine the extent and cause of the damage and how much it costs to repair it. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me just ask you about Ms. Miguel's claim. You were assigned to re-inspect her home. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you testified earlier that you went about that diligently. You could see that there was very extensive damage. That was your initial impression. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And you reviewed all of the reports. There was an engineer's report by this time. There was the public adjuster's report. You reviewed all of those things diligently. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
When you submitted your report to Allstate recommending several $100,000 worth of payments to Ms. Miguel and her husband, what happened then?
My estimate was rejected, and I was advised to alter it to a lower figure.
So you were told to alter the estimate and to alter your findings as well?
I was told to alter my estimate. I don't know that the findings was told to be altered.
Were the alterations that you were told to make, were those consistent with your own review of the property and your own assessment of the damage?
No, sir.
Did you write that up in a detailed estimate, what you were told to do?
I did, yes, sir.
And Allstate then, they send that estimate ultimately to the property owner, is that correct?
I'm obligated to send the estimate to the policyholder.
And is there any record anywhere the policyholder would ever know that your initial findings, your recommendations were rejected and somebody told you to come in and alter them?
No, sir.
Let me just ask you more broadly, have you ever been told in other cases with Allstate to alter or delete your findings?
Absolutely.
In fact, you testified just a second ago, I think, that you were frequently asked to alter factual findings, delete material, and sometimes include items that were false. Did I hear you correctly when you said that?
Yes, sir.
In the overwhelming majority of cases where you were asked to do something like this, did that cause the estimate to the policyholder to go up or to go down?
To go down.
What is your assessment of what Allstate's ultimate goal here is? Is it to pay out the policy according to the terms of the policy to the best extent they can, or is it to protect their bottom line and to use you and your report as necessary to meet that end, to make sure they make as much money as possible?
100% to use me to enable them to make as much money as possible.
And you would say that this is a pattern. This isn't just something that happened one time like in Ms. Miguel's case. You've been doing this for a long time, and you've observed this to be a pattern with Allstate and in the industry.
I have, yes, sir.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator Kim.
Now, you heard all that. And by the way, down below, I'm also going to have a separate link for, it's from arizaclaims.com. It's going to explain something that you're going to hear in this coming, I said it's a conversation. It's more along the lines of Hawley was manhandling this fella from Allstate. But in it, he talks about, and you see above, something called the McKinsey report that they work with with Allstate on how to use claims department to get massive profits. Now, this says sit and wait. There are three parts to this. Sit and wait. McKinsey told Allstate it could wear down customers by delaying settlements and stalling court proceedings. 2, zero-sum economic game. The consulting firm said there are winners and losers. Allstate can win by paying out no more than it has to, so it can keep more of its premium income. Thirdly and lastly, good hands or boxing gloves. McKinsey suggested Allstate politely make low offer on a claim. If policyholder protests or hires a lawyer, the insurance should fight back. Keep that in mind as you hear this testimony.
Let me just start with you, Mr. Fiato. So I take it from your statement just now that you don't have any regrets about Ms. Miguel's case. Mr. Keating apologized to Mr. Vertel and promised to work with him resolve his case. Thank you for that, Mr. Keating. I didn't hear anything to that extent from you, Mr. Fiato. So you think Allstate handled it just fine?
No, I stated in my statement that I regret that Ms. Miguel is unhappy with the...
Yeah, well, that's like saying, I'm sorry you're unhappy, right? That's, I apologize, but I don't apologize. Would you like to apologize to her now? Maybe I just misunderstood her.
I would like to say, is Ms. Miguel here?
You go ahead. I'm sure she's watching.
Hi, Ms. Miguel. I'd like to say, I want to make sure that we get your claim resolved to your satisfaction. And if there's additional information or things that we can do to continue to work with you, we'll do that.
So I noticed that you said in your written testimony, you just repeated it here. Let me make sure I get this right. I'm going to quote you now. We live and breathe our motto, our customer's worst day needs to be our best. I have to tell you, Mr. Fiato, based on the testimony I've heard today, based on the witness statements I've taken for witnesses, it sounds like to me that it really ought to be amended to say that our customer's worst day is your big profit opportunity. I mean, we've just heard testimony here, sworn testimony from multiple adjusters that your company ordered them to delete or alter damage estimates to reduce payouts and to make you profits. It sounds to me like you're running a system of institutionalized fraud.
Yeah, that would be incorrect, Senator. That's not what we do.
So you have never ordered, Allstate has never asked an adjuster to change an assessment on their report.
When we review an adjuster's estimate, most often for authority requests, so most adjusters have an amount of financial authority that they can settle claims up to without having to...
No, wait a minute. That's not what they testified to. That's not what they just testified to. You just heard sworn testimony from multiple adjusters, and they said it happened. One adjuster had only ever worked for you over years in the industry, and he said he was repeatedly directed by you, by your company, Allstate, to change factual findings, to delete material in his reports, to alter his reports, to make them factually incorrect, all with the purpose of driving down the award and padding your profits.
I disagree with his statement.
Well, you know, I have to notice that. I mean, your profits have never been better. I mean, they're really quite extraordinary. Fiscal year 24, Allstate had $64 billion in revenue. That's 12% above the previous year. You made $4.6 billion in profits. And your CEO, Tom Wilson, last year was paid $26 million. Now, Ms. Miguel can't get her claim paid out, but Tom Wilson, whoever the heck he is, gets $26 million. I mean, that's really extraordinary. Do you not have the money to pay people like Ms. Miguel? Why is she not a priority, but Tom Wilson's salary is?
We paid Ms. Miguel's claim.
No, you didn't. You have given her a paltry sum, your own adjusters. You said in your testimony just a second ago, you sent out an adjuster. In fact, you sent out 3. And 2 of those adjusters testified just now under oath that your company ordered them to alter their reports against their will, contrary to their advice, and in fact to render them factually inaccurate. That's extraordinary.
I disagree with their statement.
You disagree that's what they said?
I disagree that that's our process.
So they're lying. That's what you're saying.
I can tell you that, for example, Mr. Schroeder wrote 15 estimates for us. None of those were reviewed by Allstate.
Listen to another piece of testimony from another witness. This is a whistleblower report that has come in to us. This person says, I've dedicated my entire adult life to the claims adjusting world in numerous roles. I worked for Pilot and Allstate for 12 years as an independent adjuster. I work claims all over the country regularly throughout the years, and I have watched the progression and controlling nature of claims worsen progressively. Allstate created an internal review team with the sole purpose of making sure claims were paid as low as possible. Allstate reviewers instructed adjusters to alter and delete factual findings in their estimates to drive down the cost of the claim. The alterations and deletions were often factually wrong. During Hurricane Isaac in 2012, an email was sent out that no adjuster could buy a roof no matter the damage present. This looks like a pattern. This is someone who's not even involved in this case in Hurricane Helene. We've heard from person after person. All this testimony is on the record. It sounds to me like your company is running a racket, and you're making more than you ever have.
Those are not our processes, Senator.
But multiple people have testified that they are. In fact, this really all goes back to a strategy that your company pioneered with the McKinsey company back in the 90s. Isn't that right? Let's just take a look here at what McKinsey advised Allstate as early as the 1990s. You went to McKinsey and asked them, how can we get rich? And McKinsey gave you this advice. Sit and wait. They said, delay, delay, delay. It's a zero-sum economic game. There can only be one winner, and the winner's going to be Allstate. It's not going to be the policyholders. And then good hands or boxing gloves. McKinsey suggests Allstate make a low offer on a claim, like you did to Miss Miguel. And then, if the policy owner has the temerity to protest, you go after him hard, just like you did to her. Her home hasn't had one lick of work done on it, not one lick. And yet you sit here today and say you're sorry she feels badly about it. I mean, this is really your strategy, is it not? And it's made your company just filthy rich.
That report is over 25 years old.
And you've implemented it to the T in those 25 years.
We've had multiple departments of insurance indicate that this is not an issue or we're doing anything untowards.
What do you mean it's not an issue? You're saying that you don't follow McKinsey's advice?
That's not the way we handle claims.
You've never done it this way? You didn't go and seek their advice?
I've been at Allstate for about a year and a half. I can't speak to what happened 25 years ago.
Oh, I see. This all predates you. You don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about the McKinsey report.
No, of course. Right. Deny, delay, right? It's the same tactics over and over. Let me ask you, do you ever engage in retaliation for employees who come before committees like this one or who raise objections to what you're doing, to the fraud that you're engaged in? Would you ever retaliate?
It's a hypothetical question, but the answer
it's not hypothetical, but go ahead. What's the answer?
The answer would be, of course not.
Well, we just heard sworn testimony from Mr. Milliken that you have retaliated against him, that he has been informed by Allstate that he is not going to be doing any further work. I see your suits behind you are shaking your heads. No.
Allstate didn't have any communication with...
Never had any communication with Mr. Milliken on this subject. You're under oath now.
Of this specific, we've communicated with Mr. Milliken for many times. He's worked for pilot for
Oh, it
8
sounds like now we're
years.
prevaricating.
No, we're not
Now we're prevaricating. So my question is, have you retaliated against Mr. Milliken?
Of course not.
Did you tell Mr. Milliken that he won't be doing any further cases with Allstate?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of.
Of course not.
Have you taken any, you or Allstate taken any adverse action against Mr. Milliken ever at all?
No.
Have you done that? Has Allstate ever done that against any other employee?
I can't answer that question. I can only answer what I've done. No.
In fact, you've been sued multiple times in court after court after court for retaliation. You've been sued for fraud successfully time after time after time. Mr. Fiato, I have to tell you, I find your testimony absolutely stunning here today. I can't believe after what we've heard, I can't believe after what Ms. Miguel has been through that you would sit here and insist that everything is fine and above board. I can't believe that this pattern of fraud that you would have nothing to say about and these outrageous profits. I mean, don't you think that your policyholders deserve better than this?
I'm not sure what the question is, Senator.
Don't you think they deserve better than what you're giving them? That's my question.
I think we do our best to service our policyholders every day.
Oh, I think you do your best to make profits, and I think you're very good at it. And I think your policyholders are getting the shaft. Senator Kim.
Anybody that owns a house has to worry about this. Think about that for a minute. If you have a home that has what happened, now this hearing started because of Hurricane Helene. People in Appalachia by no means should have thought that they were going to be hit by a hurricane to the degree that they were hit by a hurricane. All of this was just a perfect storm, literally. No pun intended, it was quite literally the perfect storm in how it destroyed everything. And Allstate, along with FEMA, other insurance companies, everybody just manhandled the people of Appalachia. Well, you got President Trump in office. You've got a bipartisan Congress that is not real happy with the insurance agencies. Republicans aren't happy with FEMA. So basically, yeah. Now, do I actually see that much happening? I don't know. Josh Hawley actually attempts to do things. This is not the first time that Josh Hawley has gone after McKinsey. Josh Hawley usually tries to do what he says he's going to do, so I can imagine he's shaping legislation. And I'm not someone that normally likes government regulation, but the insurance companies, they have pretty much screwed over Americans. And end of story. That's the truth. They continue to do so, and yes, I understand that companies need to have certain amounts of profit, but this is idiotic. One, they need to hire people that have actually read about laissez-faire capitalism and Wealth of Nations. They would understand things far better. Adam Smith being the genius that he was. And yes, one of the few times that you will hear me say it, we need government regulation on this. The insurance companies can't seem to care about the people that are paying them billions of dollars yearly by force in a lot of instances, by need in a lot of other instances. So, yeah, something needs to be done. I thought I'd bring this to your attention. Yes, it's a little bit longer of a video, but it was something that needed to be done. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.